Greetings, Internet. My name is Elijah, and today I will be showing you how to draw in perspective. First, you must have your materials, so you'll need a piece of paper like here, and you'll also need a ruler, which I have here, and you'll need a pencil, as well as an eraser. Now, once you have your materials, we can begin, and with what we'll need to start with is to have a horizontal line at about the center of your page, and you'll want to draw a light line. Make sure it is light. It is generally good practice that you have light lines, as you can erase later on. And so, of course, since we're drawing perspective, we'll need a reference point, which in this case we will put right in the center here. We'll make it nice and large so it can be easily viewed. And so what we'll be wanting to do is to make sure that all of our drawings are drawn in perspective in reference to this point. And now these first few drawings will be in 1 point perspective. As you can see, there's a singular point. And later in the video, we'll have 2 point perspective, which will have 2 points. Now, in order to start our first drawing, what we'll want to do is we're going to want to start with a horizontal line. So we can go here, and we'll have a horizontal line like so. You have a horizontal line there. And then you'll want to make a vertical line. At the edge of this line here, you'll want it to be perpendicular to this line. So essentially make a right angle. And of course, you'll want to repeat that. And so we'll do that again over here, and we'll make a box. So we have our box here. It has 90-degree angles on all 4 sides. And so once we have that done, what we can do is we can go on to the next step, in which from here you'll see you have these corners here. As you can see, this corner here lines up perfectly with this point here. So does this here. And then as well as this one. However, you will see that unlike those three, this point here, when you try to draw from here to the point, is obstructed by the box. When it's obstructed, you do not need to draw a line. So what we'll do is we draw a line from these corners here. Line up your ruler. Remember to draw light. And we'll do it with one of these corners. And of course you have your box here. So what we can do after this is we have our box here. This is our front face. We have what are going to be sides here, but they just continue into this point here. We don't want that for our final shape, so what we do is we make lines that are parallel to that of the box here. And so for this side here, we'll have a vertical line. And here we will have a horizontal line. And of course, as you are drawing these lines, you can take your take your ruler at the edge of the starting square here, and you can drag it across the vanishing lines here in order to help guide your placement of the lines for the edge of your shape. And as you can see, we already have a shape here, but we still have these lines here that are connected to the box, and as they are not part of the shape, they can be erased. That's why you want to make sure that when you are drawing perspective, you want to make sure that you are drawing with light lines. And so there we already have our first box. And so what we can do is draw our second one, which we'll draw from another angle. As you can see, this is from a angle below what would be here, which would be your eye level. So as an example, we'll do one that's up here, which will be above eye level. And we'll carry out the same procedure. It's the same thing, but just a different view. So as you can see, we have another box. So what we can do is we can draw them from draw our lines here. As you can see, due to the change in position, no longer is this bottom left corner obstructed, rather it is this upper right one. So this one we can draw to the vanishing point, same as this one here, as well as this one. Alrighty, there we go. Now, as before, we can draw our new lines. We can draw our edges over here so we can complete our shape. So there we go. And there's our other one. And you'll see very quickly that this becomes a mess of lines. Which is why you want to make sure that the lines that you don't actually need for your shapes, you eventually erase. And now for first point perspective, we will finish off with one more shape. So what we'll do is we'll have it start here, where we will have it uh, connected to our vanishing point, our horizon. And so we'll continue the same steps per usual. And so now we have our final box here. And what we can do is we can draw our lines. And so we will take a line from here and drag it to our corner here. We will do the same over here. And now you will see that due to it being on the horizon, these both of these corners are obstructed from reaching the uh, vanishing point. And so there's no lines that need to be drawn from here or here. And so we can just draw our final line here. Nice vertical line for here. And then you'll see that we have a complete box. We'll erase our unnecessary lines. And as you can see, we have a complete box. And due to its positioning, you can only see two sides. Alrighty. Now, that is 1 point perspective. Now, what we can do is we can flip this paper around so we can do 2 point perspective. This one will be similar, just a little bit different. So what we do now is instead of 1 point when we once we draw our horizon line, instead of having 1 point right in the center, what we are going to do is have 2 points on either side of the paper. So we'll change things up a little bit, but not too immensely. So what we will have is, starting on the bottom again, we will start with, instead of a square or rectangle, we're going to have a singular straight line. And what we have to do now is draw from the ends of this line here to the points. And since it's just a vertical line, none of these points at this time are going to be obstructed. Here we go. So there we go. So now we already have the starts of two sides. So what we'll want to do is end off these sides. So we'll draw two more vertical lines. So one there, and we'll say we'll have one about here. So we have two vertical lines there. Now what we can do is we can connect them to this vanishing point here. And as you'll see, you won't be able to connect these points. You won't be able to connect either these points to your vanishing points, as they'll be obstructed on either side. And on these sides here, these lines are already part of those vanishing lines. And so what we'll end up with is just two lines that cross each other and make a mark as seen here. And so this will be your other edge of your shape. And so from here, you can erase all of these lines. And that'll leave you a shape in perspective. And now what we can do is draw another, just because we have to have some practice. So again, we're going to start with a vertical line. And as before, we will want this to connect to the points from both ends. All right, so you'll have the start of your two sides again. So what you can do is draw in your vertical lines here. You'll end off those sides. So you have another box there. And then again, these ones will be obstructed. So from here, instead of the top ones, that's like this one, since it's in a different view, you'll start from the bottom ones, and they'll go across. And of course, you'll see then now you will have your completed box, and you can erase all of these unnecessary lines. Jump that line there. There we go. Now you have all these two shapes. This one is from a lower view. This one you can see is from a higher view. And of course, we can do another one in the eye level plane. So this one here, this will be an eye level. So we can have it drawn here. Okay, so you see you have another star box here, and of course, since this is at eye level, you can see that all of these lines go inwards, and so there will be no lines that'll be able to form another side. So like the first, like the eye level of the first point perspective, you'll only have two viewable sides. So what we can do is just draw our two vertical lines. And once more, we have a complete shape. And as usual, we'll erase our unnecessary lines. And we have yet again another two-point perspective shape. So these are our two-point perspective shapes. And then that is all of the uh, drawings we'll be doing for this video. So now you should have an idea of how to do uh, two, both one and two-point perspective drawings in three different viewing angles. This is, you should be able to, from here, experiment a bit if you want. Just keep practicing. The more you practice, the better you'll get. It takes time to uh, get get better at this, given it is a difficult skill for many people. So try not to get frustrated. If you need to take a break from this at any point, do that. Try again another time later. Just don't give up and keep working on until you feel comfortable. If you want to experiment, you can try to draw other shapes. And of course, there's plenty of other videos on YouTube and online that you can look up for perspective drawing as well. Anyways, thank you for watching, and have a good day.